Thank you. Okay, everyone, I hope you are able to hear me now. Sorry about that glitch. So, over here, basically, I wanted to, as I said, I wanted to understand how many of you are basically applying for your undergrads and how many of you are targeting your postgrad application. If you can just share it with me on the chat with a show of hand, that would be great. Put it on the chat, please. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll start off with covering both undergrad and postgrad application SOPs. Okay. Now, so today we have these are the this is the structure of the topic today. What we will be covering, we will be starting with what is the importance of SOP, what is the difference between an SOP and SA, what are the basic guidelines, what are the most common mistakes that people do, and what are the do's and don'ts. Okay. Now, before we get into what is the SOP, okay, first and let's decipher. Okay, SOP actually stands for a statement of purpose. Okay. Now, a statement of purpose is similar to an essay, but it requires you to explain your specific reason of for applying to a specific course or an institute or a university. Okay. So the university wants to understand why you have chosen that specific course and that specific institute itself. Okay. Now, so when you look into a university application, there are three main kind of papers that they usually are. One is a statement of purpose. Secondly is a personal statement. Okay. And thirdly, there is something called an essay. Okay. So, what's the main difference between a statement of purpose and essay and a personal statement? So, let me first cover up what is a statement of purpose and personal statement. So, they sound very similar, but they are very different. Okay. A personal statement is basically going to be your story. You can start with your education and you go on till basically what till the current date. Okay. It doesn't needs to basically cover it does not need to cover anything in specific to the course or the institute that you're applying for. Basically going to be a story. Whereas a statement of purpose is going to be a specific reason of why you're targeting that university and a course. So the most important thing is the purpose. The P for purpose is the most important criteria that you need to cover over here. Okay. Why you're targeting that school, institute, university, why you're targeting that course, why you're targeting that specific country itself. Okay, so we're going to come to it later also when we are going to go in detail into the elements of SOP. Okay, now the second thing, as I mentioned to you earlier, what is the difference between an SOP and ethics? Okay. So statement of purpose is basically going to be a platform where you discuss your own profile directly with the university. You can write on anything that you want to discuss. It can be a gap in your academic year. It can be any backlog. It can be a reason why you are targeted a specific course. It can be any reason why you joined a NGO. Okay. Whereas an essay is going to be specific and it would be answering the specific question that has been asked by the university. Okay. Whereas the SOP basically focuses on the fitment and how your future and your current profile fits in for the with the plans of the university. Essay focuses on your personal background on the subject. Okay, meaning if a university has asked you a specific question on, let's say, your long-term career, how does that your personal background fits in with the long-term career? That's the question. Okay, SOP usually does not have a word limit or a template. Whereas most universities, they would give you a specific word count that they want your essay to be within. Okay. Now, I hope that clears up the difference between an SOP, a personal statement, and an essay. To you. Okay. Now, so the next thing that we need to cover is why people should give importance to an SOP. So as you can see in front of you, the blue circle is your complete application. Okay, that you would be putting in your application to the university. Whereas a resume is going to be part of your application that would showcase, and your resume is not a specific piece of document. It also includes all the other forms that you're filling it up of for your application, including your qualification, your background, and your work experience and all. Okay. So resume is actually your whole profile that you're giving in. Now, your SOP is going to university. Okay, and as I mentioned, 75% of the admissions are based or rejected on the basis of your SOP itself, right? Why do universities ask you for a SOP? So universities usually want to see, basically understand who the applicant is. They want to understand what do they stand for, what's their personality like, what would they bring into the picture, what are the strengths and weaknesses. Okay, and more importantly, they will also try to understand basically how to set up expectation from the candidate. Okay, what they would provide to the university, and similarly vice versa, what the candidate is expecting from the course. Okay, so what I'll do is, when I'm looking into your when we are going into the more detail about the element SOP, we're going to cover basically how you fulfill those expectations from both ends. Okay. So as I mentioned, the key point over here is the essay or your SOP is going to the most important. It's the most important part of your application so far. Okay. Only once your your SOP is screened and your profile is selected, then only they would go through your resume and rest of your application. So what are key elements of your SOP? Okay. The first key element is the story. You need to create a background. You cannot just say, I want to study in this institute or I want to study this course because I want to do this. You have to give a story, because you have to put a hook in the reader's mind also why your SOP is that interesting. Okay? So you have to create a background. You have to give a story to it. You have to create a journey, go in depth, explain in depth why you did something, what did you get out of it, what did you learn from it. Okay, share at each and every point of your life. Then comes the vision. What is your plan? And this is one of the most important things of an SOP that quite a lot of people miss out. They usually tend to talk about what they have done, what have they have accomplished. They never focus on why they want to pursue a specific course. Okay, so understand the key word over the in the SOP is P, the purpose. Okay, so you have to go in depth and explain what is your expectation from the course, what would you get out of it, what how would you utilize it. Then comes in the fitment. How does it all fits in with your current profile? Okay, so what I suggest to my students is that you take time and develop each element. Okay, with time, you go through it basically multiple times, go through your elements multiple times and see whether it's fitting in, whether it's in correct, whether it's basically explains your passion towards a specific course or not, right? Now, now that we have covered the key elements that needs to be covered,
in an SOP, how do you put it a call together? Okay. Because if you look into basically a story, time, the journey, vision, fitments, they are just words. How does it fit in? No, it's not over there. So let's talk about what are the key elements, what are the key points that you need to mention in a SOP. First thing is your academic profile. What did you achieve in your academic profile? Okay. Do not mention your degree, the technicality of the degree. They don't want to know it. That's already mentioned in your resume. Your SOP is the extended part of it, so you have to explain what did you actually learn from over there, not the degree. Okay. Then comes your extracurriculars. Universities do not want to see a single paradigm profile. They want to see a profile which would have multiple paradigms in terms of work experience, in terms of internships, volunteer work, social work, right? Now, if you're applying for MS, most probably you would also have some work experience. In fact, you would have work experience basically even if you're applying for your undergrads, but it would be in form of your internship and volunteer work. But if you're applying for MS, you would most probably have a full-time work experience so far, right? So do not just mention I was working in Capgemini as a junior consultant and my role was this. They are not interested in your role. That's mentioned in your resume. What did you learn out of it? What are the challenges you faced? What kind of accomplishments you are, and they are not talking about awards over here. Okay. If you took any additional course or project outside your studies or outside your work, do talk about that. And just do not mention I am a Six Sigma black belt. Explain what does it mean, because understand, the first time someone is going through your SOP, that person is going to be a first year or probably a second year student, but most probably they would not also be from the same course that you're applying for. It would be a random student who would be going through it. They usually get paid for it, and they have, as I mentioned earlier, they are given basically a minute and a half to go through each application. So how would you make your profile interesting? Okay, mention about that. And currently you have a lot of people are going through courses on Udemy and Coursera and LinkedIn, right? So there are quite a lot of courses that are being online courses available. So do mention what did you learn out of it and how did you utilize it. Okay. And finally mention the expectation from the course. What are you going to use that course for? What kind of role do you want to see yourself in after you graduate from that course? How would it help you grow your profile further? Right? Most important fact of writing is basically what is the other party expecting to see in your SOP. Okay, what are they expecting to notice? Obviously they would be noticing your writing skills, because if you're writing like a 5-year-old, they are most probably not going to entertain you. Another thing is what makes you stand apart. So you have to market yourself, you have to sell yourself. It's a rat race. You would be competing against thousands and thousands of people who may not be from the similar background as you. They may not be even the locals to the country where you're applying to. They might be some from some other region. The biggest for an Indian student, the biggest competitor is a Chinese student, right? So you are competing against them more. And then is what are you going to contribute to the university? So everyone is looking. Understand, this is a two-way transaction. Education is always a two-way transaction. Unlike in India, where you are paying the money and getting a seat, in overseas, especially in the US or UK, they are looking into your profile, right? So they want to see what would you give back. either to the university or the society or the to the world. How would you utilize their study? Because think of this, anyone can score a 99 percentile. I was doing this research earlier, almost 80%. There is an increment of 80% from past last year 2020, okay, in class 12 exams for students who are scoring 95 percentile. That's an 80% jump, right? So how are you competing over here? You have to showcase your profile. You have to sell your profile over here, and that's where your SOP comes in. Okay. Fourth is understanding your university. Do your research. They want to know how well do you understand the university also. What do you like about the university? What do you like about the city? What do you like about the clubs? What do you like about the extracurricular activities in and around that university? Okay. Why are you choosing that specific university itself? And finally, what is the motivation behind pursuing this course? Why do you want to basically study, let's say, MSc in artificial intelligence? Or why do you want to study undergrad BSc in computer computational linguistic? What drives you? What is the purpose behind it? Right? So these are the things that universities are looking for. Now let's look into what are the most common do's and don'ts that people usually need to follow when they are writing an SOP. Okay. First thing is, let's cover the do's. Strategize your SOP. Think, what are you going to write? How are you going to structure it? What would be the sequence? Wo- Second is motivation. So, motivation, what is driving you to pursue that? And as you may have noticed, I've used motivation multiple times because that's one of the major things that people do not look into, especially in India. They say basically, I'm doing this because I want to basically grow in my career and get a job. That's not a motivation. Getting a job is a process. Motivation is something else. Have an opening and a closing to your SOP. Unlike any story, if you read a book, any story also, they would set up a scene. They would start. There would be an opening. There would be a closing. There would be a conclusion. Please do not leave a SOP uh, or any written material basically halfway through. Give a closing. Have a story. Okay. And finally, one of the most important things that usually people miss out is get it grammatically checked. I see quite a lot of students coming in who have written a story, but they write, you're not texting to a friend, right? This is an official paper that you're writing. This is a communication that you're writing. This is not a blog, not even a blog. I would say this is not a message that you're writing on your WhatsApp. Please do not use like please do not use terms like LOL, MSC. Write a full them. Put in the full term. Get it grammatically checked. Invest in Grammarly. Right. Now let's go into don'ts. Okay, as you may have wondered, what is financial over here? So financial is this is a statement of purpose. This is not your application form. This is not your. This is going to be read by anyone in the university who basically you don't want to share your financial information with. So please do not mention your financial facts. I came across one SOP where they have mentioned basically that I worked in basically and earned this such amount of money while I was over there investing in stocks. They don't want to look into it. They don't want to know what's your financial value. So avoid any financial details over there. Second thing is, especially for the engineering students, avoid jargons or technical details. Quite a lot of students come in. Okay, so I have gone through I have written my SOP, and can you go through it? And I ask, what is this here? What is NSIT? I don't know what an NSIT means. I'm not from a technical background. Why are you expecting me to know that? Avoid jargons. Avoid technical details. Write in layman's term. Thirdly, avoid giving family history or too much of a family history. Yes, I asked you basically to create a story, which is an important bit, but I do not. I want to know about you. You have a specific uh, time frame. You have a specific paper within which you have to convince me you are the best candidate for this specific course and this institute. I don't want to know your family history. Probably you can give me an introduction to it or a background to it, but one line, that's it. Fourth, and I see this quite a lot in people who are applying for undergrad because they are writing an SOP or a essay for first time. Okay. The 4 Ds: death, divorce, depression, and disease. We are not trying to earn a sympathy vote over here. Universities are not keen towards giving you a sympathy vote. Don't ask for it. They don't want to know it. Don't mention it. If there was an illness due to which you underperform, you can mention it, but don't push it. Okay, so that's one of the things that big no. Now let's look into most common mistakes that students make when they are writing an SOP. Okay, they don't do ample research. They just go to the website, copy paste half of things, or go to a template, copy paste, just replace the name and the university name, give it to the university. Big no. What's mentioned on a university website is a marketing tool. They know it. They don't want to see it again. Please do not just rely on the university website. Do your research. Go to LinkedIn. Go to talk to the professors. Go to education fairs. If not, talk to a consultant. Okay. As I mentioned, don't use a template. No one can tell you how to write your own story. And if someone is saying that I can I'll give you a template, do this, trust me, that template is circulating with tens and thousands of people. There's something called plagiarism software. Why? That's why the universities basically ask you to submit a digital copy of your application, because each and every essay goes through a plagiarism software. Okay. Talk to a consultant, ask them how can I write your first draft, give it to them. So I follow this. I usually ask the students to write the first draft or write in their words and give it to me, so that we can look into it and we can understand what kind of language you speak. You cannot go with a dictionary. Okay, you cannot be go with a 8.8 SOP, and when you're going for an interview, you are speaking in a point 4 language. There's a huge difference. Okay. Another thing is people do not give it to ample time. They usually look into an SOP and say, okay, let me basically finish something in half an hour. No. A university is expecting you is opening the application settings applications at least 2 to 3 months in advance. They're expecting you to spend that much time doing your research. Okay. Finally, please don't write a thesis. As I mentioned earlier, No jargons, no technical word. No, do not copy or paste a dictionary. Write in a layman's term, right? Write in a format that a usual person would understand. So I hope this answers most of your queries for how to look into an how to write an SOP, how to go about it. Okay. We are open for question and answers now. So if you have any questions, either you can mention it in the chat, or you can basically ask with your mic over here. We would be happy to answer them. Okay, so we have a question over here in terms of okay, I have written my research paper. Should I mention it on my in my SOP? Yes. Or you, if you have written a research paper, then you are practically an author. You should mention it. How much should I cover it? Okay. Uh, I would suggest give an introduction to what your research paper was. How is it related to the profile that you're planning to pursue? How would it be helpful to your the course that you want to pursue? Okay. I would suggest it shouldn't be a too much, but it should be a one part of your if it of your SOP. Okay, if it was written during your educational time period, it should be part of your education paragraph. If it is something that was written during your as part of an employment, you can mention it while you are as along with your employment. If it was mentioned something basically outside your as a outside your employment and education, you can have dedicate a specific paragraph to it. Okay, as an author. I hope that answers. Next question, please. Okay, this next question that I have is how can I identify if my profile is same or different from as any other student? I take you are a IT person. Now the thing is 99%, 90% of ID profiles are almost similar. Okay, so they would have studied the same thing. They might have done studied in similar colleges or have similar scores or streams, right? But the kind of career path may also be the same. So difference might happen in extracurricular, your volunteer work, or additional projects or something that you may have done, right? No, it okay. The question is being extended. Will it reject my profile? Will my project profile will get rejected? No, your profile may not get rejected due to just to the fact that you have a similar profile as the other person. Okay, as long I hope that you're not copying the same SOP. Now, what happens is each and every university has a specific percentage quota. We understand quota much better. Okay, that they have selected for a specific class. For example, we will have 5%, 30% of engineers, 5% of medical students, 30% of economic students, and all. Okay, you need to basically market your profile so yeah that the person who is reading your SOP is attracted towards it. So you have to basically you have a 30% sheet allocation. So you need to make sure that you get that seat, and that's where you need to elaborate your story, market your profile, make it sound different. Okay, if not, work on your profile. I'm not saying that profile building only happens with undergrad students. I have quite a lot of students who are working, who are basically applying for masters on an MBA, and I'm helping them with the profile building, making it different, right? Making it stand out from the rest of the crowd. I hope that answers the question. Okay, my friend is having less percentage than me and got selected to University of Southern California, but I got rejected. Oh, great. This is a good question because quite okay. Having a less percentage doesn't mean basically you do not fit in. As I mentioned, quite a lot of people basically. Oh, what is the minimum cutoff to get into a University of Southern California? No, it's not 90%. It's not 90%. Actually, you can apply with 75% also. Right? And I would suggest you reapply to them. So you will have to basically cover another essay called "What have you pursued what have you done since you applied last time?" Okay, you have to showcase how you have changed your profile. How has your profile evolved since then? Okay, and that's where profile building comes in. Okay, so I think that's it. Any other questions? Brilliant. So I hope this session was helpful. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us and we will surely help you out. Right. So that's it. Thank you very much. Have a great evening ahead and enjoy your rest of the weekend. Goodbye.